Yeah, hi all. Welcome to our new series. This time we have come up with the theme of Women's Day. You would have seen globally that the theme, which is actually inspire inclusion. So
Yes.
that's the theme that we have actually kept for ourselves as well. On this topic, we have one of the industry expert in HR, Ms. Arnabi Marjit, along with us. Before me giving an introduction, maybe I will just ask her to introduce. She can actually give a very detailed introduction on that, and we'll get on to the conversation. Ms. Arnabi, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Subbu. Thanks a lot. Really honored to be a part of this series. This time of the year, I think the whole world wakes up to the concept of diversity, making us feel really special. So again, big thanks. So I'm Arnabi. As you just mentioned, I come from the yesteryears. I started my career many, many years back, close to 26 plus years of HR experience, spanning across automotive, FMCG, pharmaceuticals, multinational companies to Indian multinationals. You name it, and I've been there. This journey has been extremely rewarding and enriching. And today I would like to share, Subbu, it's not just HR that I represent. I'm also the diversity lead for my company. I think that itself speaks loads of the journey that we've traversed in these many years. In my personal capacity, I am a fiction buff, love to read, yoga enthusiast, mother of a son, and that's about me, who also has tons of other hobbies, but that's how I would like to.
Amazing, Arnabi. It's great to know about you. In fact, the way you are actually articulating is actually helps us to understand, okay, how inspired leader you are. I can clearly understand that, okay, how the employees surrounding you would actually feel that. Great having you as one of our chief guests for the day, Arnabi. Okay, now I actually want to pick up my first question from your own experience. I heard that, okay, you are possessing about 26 plus years of experience, and I'm sure from the day when you joined or started your career as a front, or maybe as a in the frontline role, and now being a leader, I just want to have your insights, how you were on day one and how you are today. What is that actually has changed for women, Arnabi, in the last 26 years?
Okay, so I would like to break it up into two parts. Me joining the organization, which was coincidentally Tata Motors. We then, many years back, I joined in 1996 in the largest manufacturing setup in those days, and the oldest also in Jamshedpur, the place where it all began, from campus. So that part was about joining as a fresh trainee in a very, very large behemoth. But frankly speaking, I never ever felt that I was a woman and there were other men with me, and there was absolutely a gender agnostic process through which we were assimilated into the organization. But having said that, like I said, there's another part to my answer. That was because it was Tata Motors. It had a very different ecosystem. I won't say the same about industry at large. So even those days, whenever I would interact outside of the organization, even to an extent internally too, there were obviously very few women around. So when I would look up and look around, be it an external conference or an internal meeting or any such interaction, being from HR, I was part of most leadership meetings, thankfully. Yes, there were, women that you could count on your fingers. And externally, most of the women that we would come across would be from proprietor-led organizations where either, they're from the family and the kinds. Now it's a very, very different scenario. So it looks at times again, you are from TeamLease, you would agree when I say this. In HR conferences, it's very difficult to locate men.
Yeah, absolutely right.
So
HR as
it's
a
been
domain is,
a long journey for the country, for womanhood as such.
Yeah, no, I think well said, and it is amazing to know that okay, you picked up the automobile industry in the beginning. So couple of things, Arnabi, very interesting insights. Earlier, people actually don't get into the manufacturing line. Specifically, when I say people, when I say women, I'm actually talking about. So the only industry where women were actually more found in manufacturing is the textile part. So the report says that okay, you have 1:3, which means out of three people, there is 100% in textile industry. But whereas for in automobile, it stands even now it's at 1:12. So coming from that particular mode, and then now you actually stepping in and then leading in HR head, it's like amazing. So
Thank you.
just was one question on that. In the last 28 years, when you are actually saying that okay, things have completely changed, uh, uh, maybe any couple of things that comes to your top of the mind, what has actually changed for women? Maybe it can be anything specific that you would like to highlight to us, Anabi.
Many things have changed. The perspective of looking at women have completely undergone a change. From the time when in every meeting, maybe because I had, my gender, I was carrying it on my shoulders. So every time we had to go and make a business case of why diversity was important. So
Yeah.
from then to now, we don't have to in every forum go and justify why diversity is important, and why it is a business imperative. We used to make business cases, questions like, ROI, why do you really need to invest? Because of course there are structural changes needed when you bring in diverse applicants, when you bring in diversity into the organization, there you have to bear certain costs, be it investment as we call them today, but those days it was looked down as cost. So, that has changed in a big way. Today, it's no longer being seen like that. It is a given. Like if you do not have a diverse environment, and we are heavily into ESG in Lupin now, so you are not a place to, today you would not engage with me rather. So it's not a place to engage with. The new age, the Gen Z would not like to work with you. The investor would not like to invest in an organization like you. There would be other channel partners, vendors, in licensing partners, out licensing partners. Nobody would like to have anything to do with you today if you're not all encompassing diverse organization. So
Great,
that's a
great.
big
So
change.
yeah, I can visualize this. Is it okay to say, is it fair to say that the natural mindset of acceptance has actually come in, Arnavi?
Okay, so yes and no. So when I say yes, the acceptance has obviously come in because there's a lot of nudge from the government, from the corporate bodies, from every possible sphere of society today. You see a very strong nudge to include diverse people into the organization as well as in the society at large. But having said that, it is socially acceptable to say such things, but deep down, since we are all working with, a big range of generations today, from baby boomers to Gen, X to Gen Z to, in the same workspace, we come across all the generations. So it is at times very clear that when people speak of diversity, how much of that is lip service and how much of that is coming deep down from the heart is pretty apparent because it is socially acceptable today to speak on diversity. But I'm extremely happy to share that when it comes to the Gen Z, it's a very different story. I think as human beings, we have evolved into a race. They are far smarter, they are far more accepting, they are far more diverse in their thought process. I think they have a completely gender diagnostic way of looking at the world. So I have a lot of faith and belief in this generation, and I think things would obviously move in for the better. You don't have to go and put forward a case of diversity to this generation. They are born in it.
No, great, great. I think I really liked your transparent answer in terms of yes and no. So, which means while we have seen a significant improvement, still there is something to be more improved a lot.
Mind
Okay.
blocks.
Mind blocks, specifically with respect to the mindsets. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. So adding on to this, Arnabi, the attrition part. attrition part in women, what do you think is actually now changing? See, today, for example, post-COVID, naturally the attrition rate has actually come down. And this is so in India, the overall in employment perspective, from a 17% attrition, it has come down to 15%.
Right.
It varies from industry to industry. Specific to women, what kind of trends that you are actually witnessing, Arnabi?
I love that question. Because every time you sit down and have a conversation one-on-one with a leader, the first question asked is always that, right? That if we hire more diverse candidates, you are going to leave, why go for it? Why not go and hire the standard uh, applicant profile or the standard, the checklist of an employee, and that person is here to stay. But having said that, today, again, if you look at the current generation or even the X and the Z, we always put forward certain data points to the leaders when we have these discussions. So we say that, okay, fine, you feel typically, you hire a woman, she's going to get married and she's going to leave. You hire a woman who's married, she may have a child and she's going to leave, right? Today, there are dime a dozen cases of young men who I'm very proud to say, they come in upfront, say, oh, my girlfriend lives in a different city and I want to go and join her. I want to resign. My wife has got a fantastic offer from this country or from that, organization, which is far better than what I'm doing today. So I would like to join her and be with the family. So again, I'm saying I'm very, very proud of such men today who don't think of these calls as standard societal calls of the woman always following the man. I think that is going through a sea change. It's more of an economic decision today, more of a career decision today. It's not based on the gender of the person or where in society you are, as your gender puts you. So that's a very big change. When we do this analysis, we also find at times we have more stickiness with certain women. Again, if you go back to the olden ways of thinking, married, well settled, may not necessarily jump off and go somewhere.
Yeah.
So there are different lenses of looking at it, but I think today it's more to do with, and thanks to so much of data available, I think we are flooded with a lot of data. They're not just information. So all of this data helps us to put forward these kind of, standard clauses where it's not typically women who jump the ship the moment they get married.
It's a great perspective, or I would say that a very, very different, unique perspective, specifically for the answer of attrition part, Arnabi, because yes, as latest as about a couple of weeks back, I witnessed a situation where we actually want to promote a person from one location to another location, but he said that no, he wants to stay with his wife, and his wife is actually in a senior position, and therefore he is not in a position to move. So which means men are willing to sacrifice for that. So,
Yes.
so got it. I think it's a different perspective in terms of the attrition part. It's not that women alone actually are responsible for it. Okay, great, Arnabi. Now, during our conversation, you touched upon Gen X and Gen Z. Now, say today, for example, Arnabi, you have taken about what more than about. So you are possessing about 25 years of experience, plus years of experience, and you are in this particular role.
You make me sound like
Today's
a dinosaur,
Yeah, today's generation, they expect a short growth, shortcut to the growth. So they actually want, okay, in 7 years to be here, 10 years to be here. So what are your recommendations to such women who actually aspires to get into a leadership role? Is it like, okay, find the easiest way to actually get into the leadership role, or okay, invest in yourself to actually get into it? What kind of a suggestion, that recommendation that you will make, Arnabi?
To the women, you need to work way harder than the men. That's always my recommendation. You need to work harder, because if you work hard, and performance always speaks, there's no shortcut to success. Performance always speaks. So if you work hard and if you perform, then every time a woman does well, breaks a glass ceiling, moves to the next level, there are a million standing behind you who would then get a foot on that door. If you move out, if you don't show that fire in the belly, if you don't show that kind of proactive, um, that emotion in you where you want to break all barriers and you do want to go up the ladder like men do. If you don't do that, then all the women who are standing right behind you to enter, you are blocking their way. Because there are a lot of stereotypes that are created for women. Oh, they want a 9 to 5 job. They want to pick up their bag and leave at 5. They don't really want to go that extra mile, stretch themselves, bring in their discretionary effort. Because they're very happy with what they are getting. Sometimes, people even talk, oh, her spouse has a good job and he's earning well, so she really doesn't want to stretch too much. But I think again, those are passé. Those kind of statements are no longer valid, even for the current generation or otherwise. So the more you work hard, the more you push through. I think you're doing a great service to the entire gender or all the diverse candidates who are standing behind you. So that's the only long answer to your short question.
Yeah, no, I think that the natural drive actually push. There is no, in simple terms, there is nothing called as a men and women. In case if it's a natural
Exactly.
drive, yeah.
Exactly.
Uh,
And anywhere that you see in any walk of life, if you are doing well, which manager or which leader would not like to push you ahead because you make the person look good, right?
Correct. So one of my manager used to always say that you should not go apply for any kind of a job. The profile should actually come to you. So which means you
Exactly.
possess that, you perform, you actually meet that role's expectations. Now the role will naturally come to you. I think
Absolutely.
it's a very common point. It's a great perspective for all the youngsters who actually aspire. I think that's the right message, Arnabi. Okay. Now, your thoughts around mentorship. So for women, there are a lot of noises saying that okay, fine, the right mentorship not available. So your thoughts and how it can be improvised.
I very strongly believe that mentorship is very, very important. I personally also provide, some service through certain organizations where in my free time, I do mentor some of these women who otherwise don't have the opportunity, to get the kind of insights that in large organizations you get. We are very blessed to be working in large organizations throughout our careers. We are surrounded by great leaders, which in most cases, a lot of women working in smaller setups, they are not exposed to this. So they do require this kind of voluntary services that we provide. And I think all women in most organizations should volunteer. That's the service that we can provide to our gender, to come across and provide this support to such women, not just very, very young women who are starting off, but for me, I look at the life cycle of women, and that's how we have defined it even in our company. I look at the life cycle of women as, people who are just early starters who just joined in a company, fresher, wanting to belong, sometimes single in the city, doesn't know anyone, new place. So that's more around belongingness, about, trying to engage with the organization, trying to find their footing. Then comes a time, typical, not anymore, but typically in the life cycle of a woman is the midlife, from the early stage to the midlife. In the midlife, starting off a family required a lot of help and support around, both inside the organization as well as outside. Very different kind of support is required, but unfortunately or fortunately, most companies as well as the government only focus on the midlife of women. Just give her leave, and she'll be happy. But that's a very short time in the entire working life of 30-35 years of a woman. That is only that 1 or 2 years. That doesn't define her. And I feel that right after that, when the midlife is, that whole family bit is over, when there are women who are wanting to climb the leadership ladder, who are wanting to again break the glass ceiling. That's the time where entire potential, the full potential of that woman has to come out. That's when mostly women require mentorship. That's where mostly women want somebody to channelize them, to show them the way, to say that, it's fine. It's in, again, 30-35 years of your career, 1 or 2 years you've lost, it's absolutely okay. But look ahead, move ahead, find your niche, get those hot skills, try to groom yourself, and don't have this in your head that I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a whatever. you are one of the one of the employees, consistent performers, top talents of an organization, and you want to deliver. You
Right.
want to make yourself look good, you want to make your leader look good, you want to make your organization look good, and that's about it.
No, no,
So
no. I
that's where I
really,
feel mentorship is most important, that stage of a woman's career.
well articulated, Arnabi. I think the point you covered from the start point, I really liked it. For example, a girl who's coming to a city, doesn't know anyone. Imagine if the same situation some 20, 25 years back, the parents will
Yes,
not even allow them.
yes,
The
yes,
parents
yes,
will check, okay, who is the relative there? Will there be somebody to
absolutely.
actually hold them?
Right.
Today,
Can't you
things are
manage
completely.
something in the city itself? Why do you want to go somewhere else?
Yeah, exactly. And okay, within the organization, okay, whom they can trust upon, what they
Yes,
can actually do.
yes,
Today, things are completely changed.
absolutely.
And yeah, people actually has the natural tendency towards getting into a mentorship. And your thoughts were like icing onto the cake, Arnabi. Uh, the perspective in which you actually gave the mentorship is like, because for them, end of the day, what they want to aspire to be. If that is actually naturally coming in, even if somebody is not offering, they themselves will select and get aligned
Exactly.
to it. Okay, great. So coming to our last question, Annabi, this is till now we have spoken about women. Now, from organization's perspective, how do they actually look at it? And do you think anything that organization else can make today? For example, every organization is now getting into D&I. There's a special focus that has actually come in. But at this point of time, I would not say that, okay, every organization actually possesses that. Maybe the top 1,000 organizations actually has it. But how this can be? So what are your recommendations for organizations to go that extra mile to take care of the diversity part? I just thought,
Okay.
okay, I'll pick up your
So
thoughts.
since we have been speaking a lot around this, can I just bring in a small analogy
Sure,
of a
sure.
standing story that is this is a very common story that people speak of when it comes to diversity. So I don't know if you're aware of this very simple story of an elephant and a giraffe, and the giraffe invites the elephant home, and his house is a house which is very tall. It has a very
All
narrow door, and the elephant tries to enter, is not able to enter because of the shape and size, and the door has to be broken, and the giraffe invites the elephant in. The floor is broken because the house is not able to take the weight of the elephant, and at every step the giraffe keeps telling the elephant that you need to reduce your weight, you need to get into shape, it's because of you that you're not able to enter my house. So I think the whole crux of diversity is that women today have to be just felt welcome. All the laws and the processes and the systems, and they're dime a dozen available. There are a lot of laws again that have come in place today, and rather than looking at those as chains which restrict organizations, I think what we should focus more on is opening the doors out and not create the house of a giraffe, but give maybe an open space for both giraffe and elephants to come and play and have a good time.
right.
By doing that, the organization benefits, the nation benefits, and we'll be able to achieve the fantastic targets that we have set ourselves as companies and as corporate India for the country.
No, interesting analogy. I think you actually nailed it by communicating. Okay, fine. Don't change. Don't ask people to change. Rather, you actually make changes so that people can actually accept and accommodate and get that belongingness.
And
Superbly.
feel welcome.
Yeah, feel more comfortable because instead of actually making any other asking you to change, okay, this is what I still remember, Arnabi, where some 20, 25 years back, nobody would actually recruit a female candidate for sales. Oh no,
Yes, yes,
she can't actually travel.
yes.
She can't actually ride a two-wheeler.
Right.
Uh, but things have changed. Today, people, oh yeah, for relationship building, she possesses a higher strength of degree and ability.
Ask
So let's
her.
actually look onto her.
First of
Huh.
all, ask her. Don't assume things. Don't think on her behalf. Let
Yeah.
her decide.
Yeah.
Similarly, you've seen that, for men too. Maybe I feel sometimes even bad for them because a lot of things are assumed that this guy, poor thing, anytime, day or night, you give him a call, he's going to pack his bag and run. But maybe his family circumstances don't allow that. At least ask
Correct.
him. Maybe the woman in your team
True.
is more eager to travel than the guy. So
Absolutely right.
don't
Yeah.
assume.
Yeah, and I've seen that, for example, like how people actually grow up in the HR community more of women. Now we are also started seeing in sales and customer service. These two functions,
Yes,
people have
yes,
started growing up in the ladder, and there's a
yes.
longevity also that comes along with it. And they grow along with the organization. That's an important point. Great having a conversation with you, Arnabi. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights. It's much helpful. And yeah, we look forward to actually invite you for our future events as well.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, and I'm really honored to be a part of this exercise. Thank you so much. And
Thank
wish
you,
you a
Arnabi.
very happy International Women's Day,
Oh,
because this
wishing you
is
the same.
about, inspire inclusion.
Yeah. Wishing you the same, and to all the women around us, Arnabi.